Welcome to the Pod in Your Basement podcast, featuring Ben DeLessio and Joe Garza. They're alive, they're hungry, and they're opinionated.
Yes. Awaking in this spooky basement.
Let's get liminal.
Yeah, actually, the basement. This is it's a relevant topic because I feel like large empty spaces tie into this. So
What's the topic today?
Liminal horror.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, so this is something that it's a relatively new subgenre. Ben and we like to nerd out over horror subgenres and even invent new ones. Like you came up with one. I think it's like grief horror.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. I've never heard that before. So I'm like, but then we went over like a list of those movies. It's like, yeah, I guess that is kind of its own little thing.
Grief horror needs to die. We won't get into it now, but it's everything now. It's like we get it. Yeah. Everything is wasn't it trauma horror?
Or maybe it was trauma horror.
It's like everything, not everything has to be symbolic of trauma. There's other topics. I get it. Yeah. It's a fine topic. It's a good topic. It's a great topic. Beautiful topic. But
one of the best topics.
But it's being done to death.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's not what we're doing today. We're doing liminal horror. This was your idea.
Yeah. So I stumbled upon this article from iHorror. Came out February 27th, 2026, called Liminal Horror is the only subgenre that actually gets worse the more you think about it. I think
who wrote it? We should give them credit.
Oh yeah. This was written by Luna Gray. Yeah. So I thought I'll read a paragraph or two and we can kind of comment on it. So this is just kind of like a general overview, but then we also have some like movies that have come out recently that fall into the liminal horror genre. As well as some other ones from the past that are kind of proto-liminal. So yeah,
and of course, someone needs to be keeping track of the Skinamarink counter because somehow this goddamn movie comes up every episode.
Yeah, and I'm gonna bring it up too,
even dating back to our last podcast.
Yeah, that one I think is kind of like the quintessential. Well, I mean, at least until the Backrooms comes out. We'll get into specific movies shortly. So this is from the article. Congratulations, you've just remembered that hallways exist. That's liminal horror in a nutshell. It doesn't need to be a monster. It doesn't need a jump scare. It doesn't need a single drop of blood. It just needs a space that should have people in it and doesn't. An empty shopping mall at 3 a.m. A school corridor with the lights half out. A swimming pool with no water and no explanation for why you're standing next to it. You know that feeling. That specific unplaceable wrongness. Liminal horror looked at that feeling and said, what if we made that into a whole thing? They did it. It worked. Some of us have not recovered. That I think is an interesting way to put it. Because I mean, like, one of the like signature elements of liminal horror is that it kind of overlaps with like analog horror, which is a subgenre that you and I have talked about. I don't know if it was on this one or on the Reckless Muse. But there is like this nostalgia, like this 90s look. And I think it's interesting that like this subgenre took off during a time when like millennials are getting old enough to be like properly nostalgic.
Yep.
So a lot of the stuff, a lot of movies and short films kind of take place in like this hazy like 90s where it's like, oh yeah, I remember that look, I remember that feel, but it's just slightly off, and then that's where a lot of the horror comes from. Liminal spaces are transitional spaces, places designed to be passed through rather than occupied. Stairwells, airport terminals, parking garages, hotel corridors. They aren't destinations. They're the in-between, the connective tissue of architecture that nobody ever really looks at differently. The horror comes from encountering them wrong, alone, at the wrong hour, without context. Your brain goes looking for the people that should be there and finds nothing, and the nothing is somehow louder than any sound a monster could make. It is genuinely one of the most psychologically sophisticated things the genre has ever produced, and it was invented on a message board by people posting photographs of empty office buildings at 2 a.m. Horror finds a way. Did you see the original like thing that inspired the Backrooms?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's actually in the article. But anyway,
I also watched the Backrooms. I guess like the Backrooms, the YouTube video, which it's funny. This article was written only in February and it's at 66 million. I just went and watched it. It was at 77 million. So 11 million people watched it. Since this person wrote this article.
Yeah, no, I watched it a while back, and then I watched it again to refresh my memories. So, yeah, we can talk more about our thoughts on that. In a bit.
Backrooms?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's the trap. Most horror loses its power the more you analyze it. You see the seams. You understand the mechanism. The shark starts to look like a prop. Liminal horror runs the opposite direction entirely. The more you think about it, the more places it colonizes. Ugh, I hate that word. You walk through a parking.
I read that too. I was like, kind of weird. Not really what that word means, but okay.
Yeah. You walk through a parking structure and your brain files it away. You pass through an empty airport gate and something in the back of your head goes quiet in a bad way. You get to work early and the office is dark and the carpet is that specific shade of beige. And suddenly you are genuinely, inexplicably standing in the middle of a horror concept at 7:45 on a Tuesday morning. Dude, I've had that exact same feeling. So up until last week, I was working for a bakery, like the corporate headquarters of a bakery distribution and manufacturing company called Bakemark. And it was a very bland, very stereotypical like corporate office setting.
Yeah.
And it was nowhere near as like maze-like as the Backrooms or some other like similarly styled horror films, but like it did have a bland corporateness to it. And then it also had this other thing too, where there's like one kind of long hallway. And again, not terribly scary at all. Like, but when I would get there like at 7 a.m, so it would be a little bit darker, and it would do this thing where if no one's walked through for like 10 minutes, then the lights would just turn off. And then they would turn on as soon as somebody walked. So they were motion activated. So like I'm sitting at the end of the hall, and so like all of a sudden I'm at my computer, and all of a sudden the lights just turn off entirely because half the office hasn't even gotten in yet. And I look, and it's just like a long dark hallway. It's like, yeah, but it's 7:30 in the morning. Like, why? What's up with that? Like, this should be like, hi Jim, I'll get those reports to you on Tuesday. But like, most of the office didn't get into like 8. So like,
that's early. You're starting that early.
Yeah, because it's not too far, but like just LA traffic. So like they're like, yeah, if you want to work 7 a.m. to 3:30, and I was like, yeah, that works for me. That works better than 8 to 9. But so I've had a little bit of that feeling of like long empty hallways that should be populated and bustling.
Yeah, I've actually always enjoyed that. I don't know why, even since I'm not just like making this up to sound like cool or weird or just for this episode, but like as a kid I remember I would like whether it was like my after school program that I went to, which would be at the middle school or high school when I was a kid, because my parents both worked, so I would go to like these after school programs. I remember I would just leave and like walk around the hall sometimes, and sometimes there would be those gates that you couldn't go any further, but like I always like really enjoyed that. Or I remember like being at a bar mitzvah. I went to a lot of bar mitzvahs growing up. And I would just like, if it was in a hotel, I would just like leave and like walk around the hallways. And I always really enjoyed like these kind of spaces that, like you said, are supposed to be bustling or at least have a presence, and no one's there. Like for instance, and we just did an episode on the 28 series, right? 28 days later, years later. One of the most famous scenes in 28 Days Later is just central London, right?
Yeah.
Like Westminster Abbey, Big Ben area of London, just empty.
Yeah.
And they filmed that like really early in the morning, right? And they only had a few minutes to do it. But those scenes, like I love that. Or a more recent example would be during COVID. Like there would be Times Square or parts of major cities that never have no one, right? Like even at crazy hours, like there'd still be people, there'd still be some cars driving, there would still be some sort of presence, and they were just empty. But like one person would have snuck out and like taking pictures or whatever, like, Fifth Avenue, Manhattan, and it's just no one's there. And I always thought that was really cool. I always really enjoyed this sort of thing. So it doesn't mean I don't find it scary. I think that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
Was that it was kind of like freaky. It was unnerving.
Yeah. And that is basically an extension of the uncanny valley, where it's like, there's something very familiar,
sure,
and maybe even comforting about it, but because it's missing one important element or tweaks a certain element, all of a sudden it creates a sense of unease and like questioning, because like it's most horror movies have something very explicit, like you're being chased by a monster or somebody's being possessed by a demon. There's something very like exactly what the malevolent force is. Whereas with this, it's just like you just don't know. If something's just off, so there's all these questions about like why this is the way it is. I'll continue with the article here. Liminal horror doesn't live in the cinema; it lives in the world, waiting for you to notice it, which you will now every single day. You're welcome. The Backrooms built the church. The modern liminal horror movement has a specific origin point, and it lives on the internet, as all cursed things do. The Backrooms started as a single image posted to 4chan, a photograph of an empty yellow carpeted room under humming fluorescent lights that looked simultaneously like nowhere and everywhere. The caption described falling through reality itself and winding up there, alone, with the faint sound of something that might be wrong. That image spawned mythology. Then Kane Parsons made a found footage YouTube series about it that has now been watched by 66 million times, and as he says, over 77 million times. Now A24 has a feature film coming in May with James Wan producing, and a budget that the original 4chan post very much did not have. The internet invented a monster with no body, no face, and no motive beyond existing in a place you can't leave. Then Hollywood looked at that and said, yes, that's the correct response.
Yeah. So, and I also I think something, so like the Backrooms, I looked up the original photo. I'm looking at it right now. Like you said, it's something familiar. So this isn't just empty space. This isn't just, like, for instance, I didn't like growing up. So how I said, I enjoyed, like an empty hallway in a school. Like it would be my school, and I know these hallways, and I might pass my locker, but the lights were off. It was just like the glow of the 4:30, 5 o'clock sun going down the fall or something like that. This isn't the same thing as, for instance, like a cornfield or a maze, so like a cornfield maze. So like I didn't like those growing up. I didn't like things like that. I found them scary because they were unfamiliar. It was more than unnerving. That was just like a disorienting type feel, where walking around a Westin or a Radisson hotel because you wanted to get away from the loud noise of a bar mitzvah. That's it's true. Like I just didn't, and to this day I don't like being around really loud music, really loud, rambunctious. I think there's a time and a place for it, but I think I just never, I didn't enjoy somewhere where you couldn't even like talk to the person standing or sitting right next to you.
Right.
And like with, especially like a lot of strangers, and I don't know, I just didn't enjoy that sort of, even like if I was with a bunch of friends and people I knew, I just wasn't very good in those situations. I would just kind of walk away sometimes. And so like in the Backrooms, like this photo, I don't even know, first of all, or as in like, is this a real place? Is this somewhere that exists?
I don't know.
Like it looks like it's an unfinished housing development or something. It says right here, fictional location. Okay, but it looks, so although it's fictional, this isn't like outer space or a jungle or something really. It's not a dungeon or anything like that. It looks like either it's unfinished housing or office space that just doesn't have the furniture in it yet. Like it's getting there, and that's familiar. It's like, oh, okay, well, this just isn't complete. But without these things, without the accoutrements of the office space, it's just like, I think if you took the Backrooms photo and you put in a desk and some chairs and telephones and things like that, and it's just empty, I don't think that would be nearly as evocative as this photo is. that spawned, you know, with, like you said, it's going to be it's kind of crazy things. I remember when Backrooms, that YouTube video came out, like that's going to be a James Wan directed movie coming out this month, right?
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm looking at it right now. And it does remind me. So right out of high school, I helped my aunt. She worked with a nonprofit for a little bit, and then it closed down. And then I helped them move stuff out of their office building, and it kind of reminds me of that. Because you know, I was there when they were just starting to move like furniture, like, you know, desks and chairs and stuff out of it. So like I got a sense of what it kind of looked like when people were there. But after the end, it was similar to this, where it was like it was a building from like the 80s, and you know, things probably hadn't really been updated since then, and it was empty of chairs and furniture and people. And it just felt a little weird. Like when I first got there, it was fine, but then it just, I don't know, it felt a little odd. So this reminds me of that, and I do want to read the caption to it. If you're not careful and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas. By the way, do you know what no clip means?
No.
No clip. It's I think it comes from like programming and like video gaming. So it's like when so like if you're playing a character in like this world where you just kind of like walk around and stuff, clipping is it has to do with like preventing a character from like walking through a wall. So they program it. So but like no clip means to pass through it.
Like a ghost. You could just kind of like walk through whatever.
Basically,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're not careful and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. I like the I mean, it's a cool concept, and I do like the idea of this like spawning, because I mean, like there are a bunch of other like YouTube creators that have made short films based on that concept. So it's kind of like almost like, and I hate using this word, but like almost like this meta, you know, Backrooms thing, where like just like these endlessly kind of spawning, you know, like rooms and environments just from this one photo. So I do think that it is kind of a fascinating phenomenon. I've skimmed through the others, and they're all pretty similar in style. I think that's one of the things about liminal horror, that like, you know, it does seem there's some very strict constraints on what it is, and
which is, I didn't know if we want to do this at the end, but I think it's a good spot to go. Do you think the movie might suck?
It's possible.
Remember, the Backrooms, for people who don't know, the Backrooms YouTube video is less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I think it's a series, though. It's a series.
The Backrooms is a series on YouTube. Yeah, there have been updates.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't. Okay, but I'm afraid that this is kind of where, like, we're doing the thing that it's inevitable, right? It's part of capitalism, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but people like to capitalize on success, and you see it with, for instance, I play Magic the Gathering, the card game, and people that, like, in the past couple of years, there's been something called Universes Beyond, which is like, you know, Magic or its own world, it's its own flavor. It's very, very wide ranging and varied. But now there's like Spider-Man, and there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there's basically all of these other IPs that are just kind of getting jammed into Magic because they're popular, and this will get more people to buy the card. And some of them do work. Doing it, like Lord of the Rings kind of fits, and Avatar: Last Airbender kind of fits. Like, it fits the flavor, but there is something that, you know, like Bagel with Schmear is the name of a card. Like Hot Dog Vendor from the Spider-Man series, there's like don't fit. So I bring up all that, and some of them might like it fine. But I bring all that up to say, it's like, is this happening with the Backrooms? And now, because this isn't the first YouTube horror movie, or, you know, even from Creepypasta, they made Slender Man stuff, and that kind of took off, and it's kind of a dark history there too. But it just feels like now we're getting into something that's really popular on the internet, that hits a different sort of sweet spot with, you know, the shortened attention span of a lot of people at 9 minutes. And yeah, even if it series has gone on, it's not sitting, you don't have to sit through all of them. Like I watched the Backrooms yesterday, 9 minutes and 13 seconds or something. I didn't immediately go on to the next video.
Right.
So I don't know if I have a feeling it might be like you were just kind of getting at, eventually the liminal horror space, if you're going to expand it too much, it's going to fall into other subgenres of horror. You're going to, and there is a monster in Backrooms. There is some sort of entity. I don't think it's really, at least in the first one.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain what it is or anything like that, but you're sort of getting into jump scares and monsters and those sorts of things that kind of take away from what liminal horror really is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I mean, you know, so much of liminal horror is based on nostalgia. It's and the fact that it's based on liminal spaces, like spaces that, like, you know, people should be going through rather than occupying. It's like there are only so many of those that you can do. You know, like at least with, like, you know, a zombie, like with the, you know, the zombie subgenre, or it's like you can take in a sci-fi direction, you can take in comedy, you can introduce like a romantic comedy in it with like Shaun of the Dead. Like there are so many different variations that you could do with zombies. Whereas liminal horror, it's like, you know, you can only show like long unbroken takes of empty corridors and, you know, stores and parking lots for so many movies before you go, okay, like I get it. I get it. Yeah. It's nostalgic and it's a little creepy. Not much happens. It was kind of cool for a while, but you get
which is my biggest freaking criticism of Skinamarink.
Yeah.
It was like it just went on too long for something that if it was 40 minutes, it would have been, I think, really good. Like it would have hit its mark, but it went on for, I think, like 100 minutes or something. And it was just too much. It was redundant. And I feel like that's something that Backrooms might fall into, but I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, because I do want to see it.
Yeah, me too. I'm definitely going to see it. I do think that, you know, despite my criticisms of liminal horror, I do think that there is at least potential that, because I do enjoy like slow burned horror.
Sure.
I do love horror that can maybe be like, you know, delves a little more into like, you know, being abstract or a little more experimental. And I do like when it is, you know, the horror is much more psychological. I think it serves as a nice counterpoint, because I mean, so many mainstream horror movies are just, it's just blood and guts and jump scares, and you know that can be fun. That's totally fine. But it just seems like most horror movies are kind of you know, on autopilot, which is just how much more graphic can we make it? How many gross out moments can we have? How many jump scares can we have? But so I think this kind of serves as a little bit of a palate cleanser. So I hope it's good. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I'm sure we'll check it out and cover it once it's out. But yeah, I'll finish this article real quick. Okay. Empty spaces aren't scary because they're empty. They're scary because your brain is pattern matching against everything it knows about how spaces work, and this one isn't working. The social contract of architecture has been violated. Someone built this place for people, and the people are gone, and the place is still there, still humming, still lit, still waiting. There's grief, actually. That's what grief looks like when you put it in a building. The space where something used to be, kept functional, kept lit for no one. Liminal horror keeps winning because it found the frequency that hums underneath every other fear and camped out there permanently. No sequel required, even though a movie's being based on a series. No franchise, no mythology to memorize. Just an empty hallway and the sound of the fluorescent lights and the question of whether you should keep walking. You should probably keep walking.
Yeah, so I hope it's not that. I hope it's not grief. Like that's no. Let's make it more. I don't know. Make it more like primitive. Make it more, just like something more deep seated that can strike a different nerve than like, oh, it's a stand-in for grief. It represents grief. It represents trauma. Like let's move on from that. Let's explore something different.
Yeah. And so with liminal horror, I think that, you know, despite its strict like limitations in terms of space, I think it the ambiguity of it. I hope that they maintain that in the movie. So like you allow the audience to kind of graft their own personal experiences on that, so they can go, oh yeah, I've been in that type of building, or I've been in that type of experience before, rather than, oh, I get it, she's sad, that's what the monster's about, the monster is her sadness. Yeah, I think this movie has the potential to stick more to the nostalgia aspect, the aspect of I have this sort of childhood memory, but now it's a little twisted. I think that that is far more interesting to me. But yeah, we'll see how that comes out, though.
Yeah, I think it could be. I don't know. I hope it doesn't stink.
Yeah.
I think it if they do it right, and James Wan's he's a really good director.
Yeah, so he's just producing this.
Oh, he's just producing it. Oh, it's the kid who created it is.
Yeah.
By the way, he's like 19.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, so James Wan's just producing it. All right. Well, the kid is extremely talented. I mean,
Kane Parsons is his name.
Kane Parsons.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be something. Unfortunately, I just checked. I can't see it on the day it comes out because May 29th is the day of mourning in my household, because that's the fall of Constantinople, 1453. So that's me shoehorning the Byzantine Empire into another episode of the Pod in Your Basement. There we go.
Is there any overlap between that and horror? Like, are there any like novels or short stories?
Actually, it's funny that you say that. There is. I haven't read it. There is a Byzantine zombie book. I have not heard great things about it, but I think it takes place during one of the sieges. Might be the siege of 626 or 717. I forget. I mean, I'll check it out because I just will buy and read and watch anything about the Byzantine Empire.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I can think of at this point.
Well, that means that there's an open market there. I mean, that means there's a gap in the market for Byzantine horror.
I know it.
Well, somewhat related, and I'll keep this very short, but we have medieval diseases in LA.
Wait, like what?
Tuberculosis and typhus.
Hell's yeah, dude! Bring it back.
That's just in LA homeless encampments. We do have there were a couple of people who came down with the plague, but that was not tied to
rules.
Yeah, that was tied to a flea from Lake Tahoe.
We could use a good plague.
Yeah. Well, we might get one with that hentai virus or whatever.
Call the population.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. That'd be horrible. The plague was that itself. I mean, just the accounts. We should read those. There's a book on my list. It's called the Great Mortality, and it's about not just the plague, because the plague has existed throughout centuries and showed up many, like the Justinianic plague of 537, I think it was. That was a horrific one. That's Byzantine. But the book Great Mortality is about Black Death specifically, I believe, which was 1349, which just reads like a horror, like that whole era, that year. I mean, it's not even, that is a horror story. It's sometimes 2/3 of an entire city just dying within weeks. It's the most insane shit. Like, it blows your mind when you hear about the accounts of some of this stuff. We should do an episode on that. And I know we've talked about medieval horror before. That'd be one of my top. Like, if I could just snap my fingers and start create a horror movie about this or that, that would be one of them. I think there's a medieval zombie video game that came out. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know. But that seems really cool. I don't know. I think it's sweet to think of like peasants fighting off hordes of zombies and knights in armor, just like mowing down zombies with lances, and that'd be sick. Just like them crawling up walls of castles and shit like that. But anyway, we should do the Great Mortality. I think I think it's just a fascinating topic, but also is itself just a horror story. So we'll talk about that. But anyway, let's talk about some liminal horror movies.
Yeah. So the one that you brought up, Skinamarink, that one came out just a few years ago. And yeah, I loved the aesthetics of it, the look and feel of it. It had some genuinely creepy scenes without relying on horror cliches, but it was very long. And so I actually, when I proposed this topic for the show, I actually watched the concept film that was kind of like the like testing ground for that. It's called Heck. It's actually on YouTube. It's 28 minutes long, I think.
Oh.
I would recommend it, but maybe I should have seen it before Skinamarink. Because it just feels like an extension of Skinamarink. So it and it doesn't get creepy until like the last like 5 minutes. So if you've seen Skinamarink, you've seen Heck.
Okay.
I mean, it you know, maybe it's worth checking out if you want horror that's boring, if you're in the mood for that, or if you're looking for somebody that's got, I don't know, like this is me like attempting to like you know, cater to the Gen Z kids, but something that's got like, you know, aura and vibes. You could probably
bro, that's let's go. So I have some. I can't go into details right now, but how do I say this without sounding creepy? I've been around Zoomers more recently, like young guys. I'll explain later.
Okay.
And I know it sounds super weird, but it's not.
But
it's actually very wholesome. But they sometimes say things that I'm just like, I feel so old.
Yeah.
They'll be like, bro, that is so goated.
And dude, I saw Clavicular on there's a clip of him on the Logan Paul podcast, and he was like non-ironically using a lot of like mogged and beta mucking and maxing, and just like casually throwing it out there. I'm like, who talks like that? That's crazy.
Dude. I know, and that's just part of culture, is that the next generation seems so foreign and just says crazy things that don't make sense to you. But we did the same thing. We said things. In fact, my friends and I remember saying something to a friend. We just made up a word and started saying it, and I got kicked out of class because the teacher thought I was saying some like offensive name, like I was calling him a name or something. We just made it up.
Yeah. What was the word?
Yeah, it was a SOC, S-O-C, and it came from through reading The Outsiders in school, and I think it's pronounced Socias, but we pronounced it SOC, and we're just calling each other socks, and I got kicked out of class. Well, that doesn't mean anything. It's just us mispronouncing a word.
Yeah.
So anyway, so things just got so frustrated. So every generation says and does things that you know. It's actually kind of fun in a way, because like Gen Z in the last few years has kind of come into a coherent culture somewhat, like a generation, and millennials were always getting shit on. We were blamed for everything, and we mainly boomers, but Gen X to some extent were like always saying things about us. So like now it's like, oh well, we're not the youngest anymore. And we get to have kind of that position to Gen Z now, and it's fun. I don't know, it's all in good fun, but they'll say things and I'm just like, what? Like, what are you saying? Like, what is that?
Yeah. Funny. All right. A couple old geezers here talking about.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, anyway, dude, and one more little thing about that, dude. I mean, like, they're playing Green Day on classic rock stations now, and I'm like, oh no,
oh man, oh my god, Green Day, like Green Day, American Idiot Green Day, or like Green Day Dookie,
90s era stuff.
Yeah, I remember my brother had Green Day Dookie on cassette.
Oh hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's 40 now. He's 40. He's 41, I think.
Whoa.
No, 40? 40. Yeah, he's 40. 86. Loser.
Well, anyway, liminal. Oh yeah, so liminal movies.
We're getting liminal here. So I saw a list. I wrote down the list, and then I found all my reviews and scores for whatever I'd seen, except for a couple. For some reason, so some of these I don't really know if liminals. It seems kind of broad for some of these, but so Skinamarink I think is a good example. I don't think it's a good movie. It's an example. It Follows.
Oh yeah.
It Follows was sweet. So
that was on my list too. Yeah.
What I liked about that movie, I give it an 85, 4.5 stars. Very good movie. Is that again? I think where liminal horror will succeed is that sense of dread. It's in Detroit, which is already kind of a sprawling city.
Yeah.
It feels like it's always at night, but it's not. And if you haven't seen It Follows, it is, of course, it's a metaphor for sexual assault, violence, that sort of thing. But it's kind of like this disease in a way where you have sex with someone and some being that is in the form of just a person, right? Not a monster.
Yeah.
Kind of a monster at one point, but not a monster, just a person, and just not running, not screaming, not just walking after you. And then when it gets you, it messes you up pretty good. But and it's parking lots and parking garages and suburban streets, sprawling Detroit streets that seem, because if you didn't I think Detroit's recovered somewhat, but a lot of it is empty. It was this city of over 1 million people that dropped to around 600,000. And I think it's bounced back a little bit, but that's a huge drop. So naturally there's just going to be open spaces. There's going to be empty houses. And so that all plays into the plot and into the scenery of It Follows. And it's a really, it might be the best movie on this list that I've seen that evokes that sense of dread, because you do know something's after you. It's not gonna pop out of the closet. It's not gonna fall from the ceiling. It's just walking. It doesn't speed up.
It absolutely plays on the nostalgia factor a bit too, because doesn't it take place in the 80s or the early 90s or something like that?
I don't remember, but probably. I do remember some of the cars are definitely not. It's not like a Kia Sorento. It's some, and I think it's probably a lot of muscle cars from Detroit. I would think would play into that. So I actually can't remember, but
I'm not seeing anything saying that it took place, so that could just be me. But yeah, it does have because it's like college kids and but they're home for the summer, so it's them hanging out at each other's houses. They're going to the lake. They're just hanging out. So there is a lot of familiarity of a suburb, or just average suburban neighborhood.
Yeah, Americana, just kind of standard. Yeah,
but there is a fair amount of emptiness. And the horror is just the horror aspect or the force or entity, I guess, takes place. It possesses a person, and you just it's a weird person walking towards you from a distance. So yeah, no, that one definitely has liminal elements. I'm starting to wonder if liminal has if it even has enough strength to survive as its own subgenre, and maybe it functions better as an aesthetic or
I think so. Yeah, that's my concern about Backrooms, and I do think a lot of these, The Shining, for instance, is on the list.
Yeah, same here.
And I don't The Shining is just kind of a classic isolation horror movie, madness, psychological horror, slasher horror. It's a phenomenal movie.
Yep.
Give it a 93, 5-star movie. But I don't I guess it has liminal aspects. It's what I think what I like so much about it is, it's a handful of people in a huge hotel that is physically isolated, and also it's the season when it's the most isolated. They're taking care of the hotel
for
the winter. So it's big hotel kitchens and bars and of course hallways, and it's a real grand hotel too. And a lot of it is empty because there's only the family and the care and a handful of other people that are there. So the liminal, like there are liminal elements to it. So I think that's probably the best way to put it, like liminal elements to a horror movie. But I don't know how this would be just like a liminal horror, because there's all these other classic horror elements also.
Another thing too about how I would, how I think The Shining has some other liminal elements is that, like, the idea of a transitory place. It's a hotel, so and it's a ski resort, so you would expect it to be bustling with people, and it's just this family and the caretaker, so it's just sprawling, empty hallways that are very maze-like, and just kind of go on and on. Like you said, like that's only one aspect of the film. But yeah, that was definitely I think our fascination with liminal spaces is kind of like I wonder if that's something that is a little bit ingrained, because Stanley Kubrick was definitely like, okay, how can I wring some horror out of not much happening? Like how can I wring some horror and dread out of hallways and empty rooms, and how can I shoot it in a way that evokes dread without a whole lot happening, or at least not a lot of like in your face horror. So I think he was kind of playing with these ideas decades before it became its own subgenre. For me, I put just David Lynch, because so much of his stuff kind of dabbles in space. Lost Highway, like they're just like
that was on the list too, but I haven't seen Lost Highway.
It's definitely worth checking out. It's a solid one. It's a very confusing one, but there are a lot of scenes of just like driving through the desert at night, just wide, empty spaces, and almost every David Lynch movie, and project for that matter, like, even if there's something like seemingly normal going on, like the characters are a little bit stilted, the dialogue is a little awkward. So he's so deep into the uncanny valley, like he can just make like anything seem like. But like his fascination with space, I mean, like this shows up a lot in Twin Peaks. Like I think it's even called like the in between space or whatever, or like the place where Colin McLaughlin character, where he goes and has like the red curtains and then has like the black and white striped floors. Like there's something just about like these very simple spaces. It's definitely more fantastical and more abstract and surreal, but like there is something just like just like this weird space that's mostly empty, and characters just kind of like winding their way through it endlessly. And there's very little, especially with David Lynch, there's very little context or explanation given for what it is or what it means. So yeah, almost like the entirety of David Lynch's oeuvre kind of falls.
It's oeuvre.
Kind of falls, broadly on the umbrella of liminal.
Yeah, David Lynch is the master at the unease, disquiet's not the right word. It's unease and sense of, I don't know if dread is always the right term, but just like like the uncanny, something is off.
Very dreamlike.
Very, very surreal. But I don't know. I haven't seen Lost Highway was on the list. I've seen a bunch of Lynch. I've not seen that yet. I know you've discussed it, and it seems like something you really have to be in for the ride. No pun intended. Anyway, so other stuff on here. I saw the TV Glow that came out a couple years ago. I saw.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It is not great. It has that what we've been discussing, the familiar with nostalgia. It's about like two friends. I think it's all a metaphor for transgender or whatever, but it's like two friends, and there's this show within the movie that they would watch from the 90s, and they'd sit it's out of the basement, and it's very homey, and that, again, suburban feel, and there's some surreal aspects to it. I I don't know. I couldn't get into it. It seemed like a drag, and sometimes like bad slam poetry. If there's good slam poetry, but I could like, I wanted to like it because it does hit those nostalgia points. Like I think it takes place in the mid 90s or so. But
well, speaking of, I'm glad you brought up the trans thing, because the director of that recently said in an interview that Frankenstein is transphobic.
Of course, that's true. That's right.
That one popped up on my list too. I didn't include it because I haven't seen it. I only included ones that I've seen. I included Silent Hill. Have you seen that one? The first one?
Like from the video game?
Yeah.
I've seen parts of it.
It's pretty liminally.
Is it?
Yeah, pretty liminal-esque.
And then pretty bad.
The first one was actually not. I mean, like the plot is kind of garbage, and then the sequel was shit. And then I heard the
one that came out recently, like last year.
Yeah, I heard that was like shit too.
Yeah, like one of the worst movies of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the first one, Silent Hill was scary. I do remember that as a kid. I don't think I played it or watched too much of it, but yeah, I guess I could see that. I don't just want to equate liminal with like haunted, like haunted house, haunted town. Isn't that what Silent Hill really is? Like a haunted town?
Basically, yeah. But all like because it takes place in this town that is basically haunted, but like there is like, you know, there are a number of scenes, like very like effectively atmospheric scenes of walking through this like town that that had a coal fire, so then everybody moved out. So like this is constantly hazy. So it's like, oh, this looks like, you know, small town USA, but there's just like this smokiness hanging over the whole town.
All I remember is this guy with I typed in the triangle head.
Oh yeah, pyramid head. Yeah.
This pyramid head. What? He's just like, I remember him like ripping some woman's like skin off.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a thing.
Yeah.
Of course,
it's worth checking out.
Japanese guy created it.
Yeah. It has a lot of it's the creature designs are amazing. Like they're very Hellraiser-esque. So it's worth watching just for really, really cool imaginative monster creature designs. Yeah, it's worth checking out. It's not a masterpiece. I think I think it's terrific when it comes to atmosphere and design. I think the plot was kind of garbage and kind of confusing. But the very first one is pretty decent actually. So
all right, okay. I didn't realize it was a Japanese game.
Yeah. From the ones who, I think it's the same ones who made Resident Evil.
Oh, hells yeah. All right, we can wrap up soon, but the only other ones so a couple on here that I've seen that I guess like I'm thinking of Ending Things, the Charlie Kaufman movie.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one.
It's good. It's very good, but I don't know how this is like a horror movie. I think that'd be a stretch. I mean, it's Jesse Plemons and Jesse Buckley, right? And who are phenomenal actors. But of course, I type in I'm thinking of Ending Things, and I get New Jersey Mental Health Cares. An idiot. That was like one of my favorite from college. This one of my friends, not a girlfriend, but a friend who was a girl. I remember she was like, "Yeah, I want to go on the Dick's Sporting Good website, so I put in dicks.com and it's so yeah, I'm thinking of Ending Things. What does it say? Surrealist psychological thriller. Okay, that's kind of horror adjacent as, but yeah, I wouldn't consider this a horror movie. Very good movie. Can't remember all that much of it, but
is there anything liminal about it? Is there like
I guess. Again, I can't remember those details, but it was very good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
I've got the Blair Witch Project.
That's what I was just about to say.
Oh,
how is that liminal?
I don't know.
It's just a horror movie. It's in the woods. Like that's
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Because I mean, like, I think one of the core elements of liminal horror is that it takes place in these transitory places. So like places where people are meant to be moving rather than like like staying permanently or long term. And it's man-made. That's I think that is kind of like a unique element to liminal horror. Um, which is so which makes sense. Like shopping malls and hallways and office buildings and stuff like that. But but I guess with the Blair Witch Project, like there are a lot of shots of like the forest of like here's just a space and there's I don't know, like maybe it's like the cinematography of liminal horror, but not actual like liminal horror themes.
I don't know, man. That's just like classic found footage.
Yeah.
Iconic movie. I actually haven't rated this yet. I didn't review it. I mean, I guess I watched it before I started doing that, and then didn't even put in what I thought it would be. But anyway, great movie.
Yeah.
I would not put that on a liminal horror list. Again, I like let's keep our subgenres narrowly tailored here.
Yeah,
I think that's more fun than just kind of throwing everything at the wall and being like, this is all this thing, and that's.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at lists, I was like, yeah, sure, there are a lot of like scenes of, empty spaces, but if it's like like an empty forest, it's like, yeah, but there are so many horror movies that are like that. Like that's not like
I don't think what about like a Dracula? Like we think of a castle. I think sometimes we think because Gothic horror and like castles have become so iconic with being like dreary and wet and what's the word I'm looking for? Not disheveled, but kind of like decrepit, falling disrepair. But like castles were like lively places with all types of workers and handmaidens and squires and whatnot and all types of people. So like those can kind of be when it's just like one creepy guy. Like that kind of I think fit that role, but it's also like Gothic horror sort of its own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we're sticking to like I really like there's this movie on this list that sounds really good. I've not seen. Have you seen this movie called Pulse?
No, I haven't.
Japanese movie. I think it's called Cairo in Japanese, with Pulse came out in 2001. Like that sounds right up my alley. Like early 2000s, late like 90s, early 2000s Japanese horror hits in a certain way. I love that look where it's like it was so I love the juxtaposition of it being like technologically advanced for the time, but now you look back and it feels so like I don't know, anodyne or whatever, like so quaint.
Yeah.
And I really I don't know, like just what this movie is about, where kind of space and the internet and it's like or like internet like 2.0 or 1.0 or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Like that sounds really cool, and I think something I'm going to put on my list. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking up Pulse, and this one's been on my radar. I forgot about this one because that's one where like the creepy lady, and she's just like this weird walk. Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be so scary.
Yeah, I've seen that scene. It is very creepy.
Wait, what kind of weird walk?
I'll let you watch it. I'll let you experience it.
Oh, that'd be so scary. Oh no! Ah! It looks so scary. Okay, I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna watch it too. Yeah, so maybe we'll cover that for a future episode.
Okay, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah,
let's put Pulse on our list.
Yeah, I should be able to track that one down somewhere. Yeah, there's another one that was on my list. Again, another movie that I enjoyed. I don't think it quite fits into liminal though, or it actually kind of does. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Annihilation.
Annihilation. What's that?
Yeah, that's the one with the Padme, and she's leading like the
what? Padme?
What's her face? Princess Amidala or whatever.
Yeah.
Portman.
Natalie Portman. Padme.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like she's known for other stuff than Jennifer Jason Leigh's in this. Oh, Tessa Thompson. Okay, when did this come out? 2018.
And then Oscar Isaac.
Oh, Oscar Isaac. Sex icon. Okay. You've seen this movie?
Yeah. Have you?
No.
Oh, you dig it. It's kind of like it's sci-fi mixed with like a little bit of Lovecraftian cosmic horror. It's been a while, and it's a little heady, so I'm sure I'm getting some of the details wrong, but like it takes place like somewhere in, I don't know, the US. Like this big chunk of like this weird alien presence has just like taken over, is gradually taking over. Like I think it's like a part of the South or something. And when people go in, they just never come back out. So Natalie Portman plays a scientist, and they go into this thing. There is like this weird corrupted version of like this, like kind of like farmland, just like prairies and valleys and stuff. I think it's taken over some towns as well. And everything is just like this, like this thing is just gradually increasing, and all of a sudden just don't know what it is. So they go in, and it mostly takes place outdoors, but there are some structures that have been kind of contaminated and with like this weird alien moss that's grown over it. So yeah, there's just, touches of liminalness. It's also a pretty slow burn.
You're selling me on the movie about alien moss.
Yeah. But it is a pretty trippy movie. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's I remember not being interested in it because it just looked like a sci-fi, like a pretty standard sci-fi movie. But then all of my friends who saw it, they're like, no, it's actually way weirder than the trailers made it out to be. So
dude, all my friends love alien moss.
Yeah, exactly. Or, alien like overgrowths.
Alien moss is goated.
Exactly.
I love it. I'll say something like it's like standard and normal. Be like, bro, you were so goated. I love it.
Goat maxing.
Yeah.
Goat mogged. Okay. I think that's it for me in terms of liminal horror.
Yeah. I think we're good. I think it's something that the Backrooms notwithstanding, well, we'll see. If Backrooms is notwithstanding, I think liminality should be should be more elements of horror, and don't try and just make it full-length movies because it'll ruin it.
Yeah, I think it functions better more as like maybe like a filmmaking technique.
Yeah, an aesthetic.
An aesthetic, a look, an aura, a vibe. And or if you are going to make something that is fully liminal, I think it would probably work better as like a short film, as like a short experimental horror film. But I don't know. I think Backrooms, the movie, that will be like a real test to see, like, does this have enough strength to stand out as its own subgenre, or is it just something that you just kind of dip into and just kind of sprinkle onto a project? So we shall see.
All right,
Benjamin.
All right, so I'll see you in the basement.
See you in the basement.